Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is, July the 15th are we up to? July the 15th, halfway through July. And I am just checking a couple of things before we get going. It's a quiet day. Again, another quiet day. Let me go and have a look. There we go. Making sure we are there. Yes, everything is on. Perfect. Good morning, everybody. Is this the hangover? The morning after the night before? We're going to have a little look at the prices later on. We did say yesterday that we were going to come down 118,000, 115,000. I don't know what I said. I think I said 118,000. We're not far off that today. And again, I said yesterday, don't panic. We never go up and to the right in a straight line. Everything has to have its corrections. It's like climbing Mount Everest. You don't go up in a straight line. Sometimes you have to stop. Sometimes you have to come back down and find a different way up. That's just what happens in crypto. When you're in Bitcoin for 1, 2, 3 cycles, you just get used to it. It's the old meme on the roller coaster. So I am not worried about where we are now. Of course, if we start breaking down even further, then maybe we're going to hit the summer lull. But let's just take stock here. There are people selling Bitcoin that have held for 14 years that are now selling. It's just part and parcel of the game. What we are going to talk about today, we're going to talk about Vanguard. We're going to talk about ETH, believe it or not. We're going to talk about the Grayscale IPO. We're going to talk about Ondo. We're going to talk about XRP. We're going to talk about Doge and Pepe. And if we get to it, we're going to talk about El Salvador. Busy show today. We have some X-Files as well. I hope you're all doing well. Who is here? Again, I was saying to Mags just before I came on, everything is dead. Binance is dead. YouTube is dead. Everything is dead. There was one of the other YouTubers a few days ago. He put up the YouTube traffic for crypto streamers and videos and things like that. It's the worst it's been in 4 years. Nobody's watching videos. Nobody's watching live streams. Retail has exited the building. The people that are left, the you and I's of this world, we're all that's left. Okay? Now, maybe we're early to the party. Maybe the party's never going to get started. But whatever happens, I'm still going to do this. Okay? We're still going to make videos. Still going to make content. It's what we wanted to do. We were doing it when we had 0 subscribers. We will continue to do it when we've got 250,000 subscribers. It makes no difference to us. And if we help 3, 4, 5, 20 people in the world, surely that is better than not trying to help anybody. And the people who are here today, Mags is here today, Alpha is here, and KB is here. That's it. That's it. That's all we've got. I don't even know how many people are watching on Binance. Binance is down about 70-80% from what we used to get. We used to get 5,000 or 6,000. We now get 1,500, if that. Good morning, Bullish Bull. Nice to see a few of you anyway. Now, look, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see my clock is working today. I was so explosive yesterday morning that I actually stopped time. That's how I think we should be looking at this. I literally stopped time yesterday. That stream went on for 12 hours, even though in your life it was 1 hour. Big news for tomorrow night. Anyway, Maple year-to-date in review. Before we start the stream, I did say, and you are going to be the lucky ones. You're the ones that everybody is going to say, how come you know all the answers? How come KB and Mags and Alpha and Bullish Bull, how come they're getting everything right? There is a very good reason for that. And the reason is, and I'm telling you, if you go down here on our homepage and you look at videos, there is one video there that was uploaded 11 hours ago. And in that video from 11 hours ago, the majority of questions that we will ask you will be in that video. That is all you need to know. The video is 14 minutes long. It's a complete breakdown of everything to do with Maple in the first 6 months of the year. Let's make sure there's no sound on this.
You don't need it.
Everything we've covered, the pros, the cons, we've covered the partnerships, we've covered absolutely everything. And tomorrow night... Ooh, there we go. And tomorrow night, we're going to go through this. I've covered everything. So make sure, if you want to win the quiz tomorrow night, you go and watch that video. There's only going to be, I think, about 15 questions in this quiz because it's going to be a hybrid. We're going to do a 20, 30-minute intro, explain the background of Maple. Then we're going to do a 30-minute video. We're not sponsored, by the way, to make those videos. It's just we had such fun doing the first one. We want to do another one. So make sure to go and check that out. Now, let's have a look at where we came down to. As we said yesterday, we're likely to have a little bit of a pullback. And we have had a 4.6% pullback. We're back at 117,000. Ethereum below $3,000. We said it could come back to $2,800. We're not a million miles away. You know, $200. What's that again? 6%. So we could come back down to $2,800. XRP, though, a lot of the coins are going to hold on to some of these gains if Bitcoin can hold on around this price. And again, these are really good prices. XRP at $2.85. BNB lost the $700 back to $680. That's, I think, where it was. Solana's back at $160. Cardano still stuck between 60 and 80 cents. But again, a really good price. A lot of the coins, if you look, haven't lost as much as Bitcoin. And there are other mitigating factors why Bitcoin's come down. There's people selling 9,000 Bitcoin chunks at this moment in time. They're taking profits. That's what happens when you get to $123,000. Gainers, though, we've still got some gainers for the week. Pudgy Penguins is doing everything in its power to absolutely rocket up the charts. They have a game coming out on the App Store and Apple Store. They have their ETF application in. They have, I think, a cartoon about to start. I mean, they're trying to be the Web3 crossover into real life with a lot of this stuff. And again, gaming is going to be a conduit for people to come into Web3. Pudgy Penguins are having a go. They're having their time in the sun. I don't think it's going to last, by the way. I certainly think that it's been super, super hyped. Look how much it's up in 7 days. If you got an airdrop of Pudgy Penguins, and this isn't financial advice, I would be looking to sell in the next week or so. That would be I would be taking profits at those prices. Mantle is up a touch, and then we're down stablecoins. What has been smashed? This coin, I believe a lot of people were saying it was some kind of rug pull. I'm not sure. Pump.fun. I asked very politely that you consider this to be not something that you would look at. Now, I think it is above its launch price. I think it launched at 004 or 0045. I'm not too sure. Maybe if anybody in chat knows that. But I don't see Pump.fun as something you want to get in on day one. If I was going to buy Pump.fun, I would do what I did with Jupiter. And that is wait for Jupiter to bottom out to buy back in. And I think I was buying Jupiter at 40 to 50 cents. That was my buy zone. Obviously, we then ran up over $1, $1.40, whenever it went to, and now we're back at 50 cents. I don't care. I'm happy with Jupiter. Pump.fun may come down. It's not a dead token. It's not a token that has no affiliation with anything. There is a solid money-making business behind it, whether you think it's morally correct or not. Pump.fun may retrace a little bit more, and then it may be a good price to get in. If it weathers this storm and comes down to 1.5, 1.6 billion market cap, fine. Remember, it generates a lot of cash. I don't think it will continue to generate as much cash as it has done, but I don't think it's a bad shout. Virtuals is down. I like Virtuals. The coin that I won't mention is down. Stacks is down. Kronos has retraced back towards 10 cents. It did get up to, I think, 11.5 cents yesterday. But again, if we hold this line, as I said for weeks when I was saying let's hold 103, if we can hold, and I haven't got the precise number off the top of my head, if we hold 112, 115,000 for a week or two, and we form another base camp, if we form another level of solid support, then we can move higher. And that is my, not ambition, but that's what I want to see come out of this. Now, I did massively overrun yesterday, and I did get to the point where I think we missed 2 articles out. I'm going to try and be a little bit more speedier today. I do watch my videos back to make sure that I'm not boring the arse off everybody, by the way. I do try and make sure there is some level of entertainment in these streams. And, you know, sometimes I'm better than other days. But anyway, Eleanor Terrett always reminds me of the Beatles song. The big 3 banking regulators just issued joint guidance on how banks should approach custodying crypto assets. The guidance doesn't create new rules, but reaffirms that banks must apply existing risk management, legal and compliance frameworks when holding crypto on behalf of customers. We don't need to read through all of this. This is the stuff that didn't exist 3 or 4 years ago. Operation Choke Point 2.0, whatever it was called, existed. There was verifiable evidence that it existed. And what was that? That was to not allow crypto and Web3 businesses to be banked. And that's gone out the window. We've got rid of Biden. We've now got the other end of the scale, Trump. And this is going to be the stuff we need. It's all well and good, Trump deregulating, but you need regulations or you end up in the Wild West. This kind of guidance is what we need. We need the banks to understand the playing field. If they don't understand the playing field, they won't play. So, this is like all of the referees sitting the team down on the pitch and saying, all you have to do is pass the ball to each other and score a goal and don't foul and don't cheat. And that is what this sets out to do. It's pretty much common sense, but it's laid out in black and white. So the banks can then get up and say, you know what, okay, we understand. We understand. You know, we need to take passport details and utility bills of the people that want to bank with us. Then if they want to buy assets, we allow them to buy assets. That's all it is. But it's there in black and white. Now, this is the kind of stuff that we're going to see at these prices. A wallet holding 20,000 Bitcoin since 2010 just moved 2.4 billion after 14 years. He bought it for $15,000. He's going to sell potentially all of it for 2.4 billion. That is diamond hands. Diamond hands. It doesn't matter where this price goes from today for this guy or girl. $2.4 billion is enough to buy as many pizzas, as many bottles of fine wine as this person wants to do for the rest of their life and their kids' life and their grandkids' life. Again, we're going to see more and more of those wallets, Ethereum wallets as well. When Ethereum starts to go up maybe towards $5,000 or $6,000, we're going to see the same thing again. We're going to see people that have held Ethereum since it was 50 cents and $1 selling big batches. Jim Cramer predicts that JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon will go all in on crypto. And we can't play the volume because we'll get done for copyright. I'm not going to do an impersonation of Jamie Dimon either, or Jim Cramer. It's not what I'm going to do. Suffice to say, Jamie Dimon will not go all in on crypto in public. He will do it in private because he's made such a public stance of saying that crypto is used for nefarious reasons. But again, it's going to happen. The 5th largest asset in the world, and Jamie Dimon ignores it. It's a bit big now. It's a bit big to ignore Jamie. Same with Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff wants to get his gold tokenized on the blockchain. Just do away with gold and buy Bitcoin. Lloyds and Aberdeen complete the UK's first FX tokenized bond transaction via Archax on Hedera. Now, that doesn't sound very exciting. The UK accounts for almost 50% of all global activity in FX and interest rate derivatives. $5.4 trillion daily. And they have just attempted their first transaction using Hedera. I put a tweet out yesterday. In fact, this isn't... have I included this in the show? No, I haven't. Right, I want to show you something. I put my thoughts out there because I think it's important. By the way, and I'm not allowed to talk about this, I actually predicted the goal scorer, or one of the goal scorers to who was going to score on Sunday night. And I was right. I won. João Pedro scored the goal. Picked that one. Nailed it. Now then, what I'm getting to is down here. And this is based on a little bit of a misconception. When you keep seeing people saying BlackRock's bought 5,000 Bitcoin this month. Kathy Woods, ARK Invest, has bought another 1,000 Bitcoin. They haven't bought that Bitcoin. The Bitcoin being bought by these ETFs is retail. Retail is already here and it's buying Bitcoin and Ethereum. To have any chance of a long-term multi-billion-dollar project, you will need to be an ETF and have a successful product. Why? Why buy via an exchange you don't trust? Why buy from hundreds of coins you don't understand? And why not just use your investment advisor? They are the three questions I would put to anybody. Your aunt, your uncle, your gran, your sister, where are they going to buy crypto from? They're going to buy it. Let's say they've got Revolut or Robinhood. They might buy the crypto on there because it's their banking app. If they're more tech than most. If they're not, if they've got a normal bank account, what's the first thing that's going to be offered to them as an investment? It's going to be Bitcoin and Ethereum. All the money, and you can see down here, the green lines are the net flows into these ETFs. The green is retail buying Bitcoin and also now buying Ethereum. So how do you win this game? You win this game by becoming an ETF. And much as I don't like to say it, the blue chip ETF by Trump is the best setup one for alts. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and Kronos Chain. That's it. Now, if you want to be a success, you have to have a product that works. I fully take that on board. We know that. But you also need to have an ETF. Hedera will be an ETF. Litecoin, Solana, XRP, Cardano, AVAX, Chainlink, they're all becoming ETFs because the banks want to funnel you through the ETFs. They take the fees. BlackRock take a percentage, your bank will take a percentage. Who takes a percentage of your Bitcoin or Ethereum if you've got it on a non-custodial wallet? Nobody, because it's yours. Who takes a percentage if it's on Binance? Nobody, it's yours. So the banks, they want to get their grubby little paws on your money, and they're going to do it through the ETFs. And I've put this out here today, the 15th of July, because that's the direction I think we're going to go in. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. But I just get a feeling that retail is already here. But retail doesn't care about crypto. Retail doesn't care about your alts. Retail cares about making money out of Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's the one we just covered. Move on very quickly. Only a couple more left, and then we'll get into the news about Vanguard. And then we will... I was going to look at some charts today, but I don't think I'm going to be. Simon, is the top in? I'm preparing myself for new Lambo. How are you? Good morning, Tariq. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, everybody. Now, is the top in? Of the entire cycle, no. I don't think it is. And the reason is, and I've said this many times before, I think maybe I covered it last week. In 2021, the macro was entirely different to what it is today. With regards to interest rates, inflation, we also had the pandemic. We had a completely weird and wonderful collection of macro. Now, we have inflation coming down, but we still have high interest rates. The money printer hasn't been turned on, and we have a tariff situation going on. Now, what pumps Bitcoin? One of them is the money supply. What pumps Bitcoin? The lower interest rates, because there's more money swirling around. So if you put more money into the system and then you allow more money in the system to flow around, you're going to get a pump in risk on assets. And why do you get a pump in risk on assets? Because they will become the narrative. So what I think is going to happen, I've been saying this for months, I think we're going to have a summer lull, made a video about it, called Bitcoin Summer Lull, where I think we will have a lull in August, September, And then September, October, November, probably October and November, we will have another run up. So I don't think it's the top. If you look what happened last time, we got to 64,000 in May. Then we did nothing until November when we hit 69,000. Do you want to hold on for another 8% if that cycle repeats? Where would that put us at? That would put us at 130,000. Maybe we go there, maybe we go higher. But it's a harder game to play now than it was 4 years ago because we've got Trump swinging his X account around his head. Yeah, I think we're going to get an October. I don't think... I mean, we could have a local top now. 123, whatever it was, 124. That was a good price to get to. And if we wobble around 112, 118,000, that would be great. I've also said in another video that we could potentially have our final correction to the downside. And that final correction, I've always been saying, is 30%. So 30% from 124,000 is about 90-something thousand. I don't know whether we're going to go that low. If rate cuts happen, if inflation is under control and the tariffs come to an end on August the 1st, I don't think we're going to come that low. But we could hit 102, 103,000 and then absolutely crank up to wherever we go. But again, everything can change on a tweet. That's the problem with Mr. Trump. Pump.fun only added $5 million in liquidity for a $1 billion token. They raised $800 million and only put $2.5 million into liquidity. Again, this is one of the biggest cash grabs we've had. And to see $800 million going into this has been it's not worrying because it's not my money, but I don't want to see them cock this up because it's more reputational damage. Now, I'm bringing this up, okay, because it's a competitor of Binance and it's not aimed to promote Coinbase. But the question I've got for you is, and I want you to I'll leave an answer in chat just so we can have some kind of chat interaction. Let's say Coinbase is valued at $100 billion. What do you think Binance is worth? If Binance IPO'd today, what would the value, the market cap of Binance be today? I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about it because I've got a number in my head of what I think they are. Everybody is saying this is going to happen. I do believe that Coinbase and Binance and a few others will continue to rise. The same with Circle and Tether. I think they're going to rise because the more money that comes into crypto, the more custody money that Coinbase has had, the more transactions, the more institutions will use them. It's this massive network effect. So I think Coinbase will go higher. But what do you think Binance is worth versus Coinbase? That's the question I'm going to leave with you, and then I'm going to move on, forget what I've said, read Mag saying 150 billion and wonder why he's saying it, because that's what happens when you get old. You walk into a room, you forget why you're there. It's just life. October. Good morning, Manjeet. I hope you are well. And KB agrees. I hope KB agrees. I don't know. I mean, I just base it on cycles. That's all. Right. Vanguard becomes the top MicroStrategy holder via passive index fund despite snubbing Bitcoin and crypto. This is one of the funniest things you'll read. So basically, you can't buy Bitcoin or Ethereum ETFs through Vanguard. I think that's going to change with Ethereum staking. But at the minute, they don't. So they don't hold Bitcoin, they don't hold Ethereum, they don't allow any of that nonsense to go on their platform because they are pure. And the irony is, they are the top holder in MicroStrategy, because of course they own it via a fund. Now Vanguard, they're the titan. They are the alpha, okay? They are the beginning and the end. The amount of money in Vanguard dwarfs nearly everybody else. And why? They are incredibly cheap. If you want to get a global 100 index fund, it's like 0.25%, 0.3% a year, something crazy like that, maybe even lower. I've seen 0.16% a year. They are dirt cheap, and they've attracted billions, but they won't touch crypto. According to Bloomberg News, Vanguard now owns more than 20 million shares in Strategy, representing 8% of the company's Class A common stock. The investment positions Vanguard above Capital Group as the Bitcoin firm's largest shareholder, potentially cementing that lead in the fourth quarter. Again, the other thing to understand about this, the money that Vanguard and BlackRock have in funds, in stocks and shares, that's mostly your money. What I mean by that is, it's your individual stocks and shares. Who do you buy it with? Well, let's say that you've got an IG account, and let's say you go and buy $100,000 or £100,000 worth of the Global Index Fund. You buy it through Vanguard. Vanguard add $100,000 to their bottom line. That's how it works. Now, yes, they have their own reserves and things like that. Of course they do. But pension funds, company funds, treasuries, all of these things, they all hold the money. Vanguard and BlackRock are basically banks for funds and stocks. That's what they are. And it's your money. And what they do is they leverage your money to, bend the will of other companies. If you put money into a BlackRock fund, and that BlackRock fund decides it's not going to invest in Greggs because it's going to invest in Pizza Hut, then Greg's share price will fall and Pizza's share price will go up. Pizza's share price will go up. So they affect the market directly using your money. They've also described crypto as more akin to speculation than investment, cautioning against its volatility and the risk it poses to portfolio stability. And I agree with that entirely. I absolutely agree with that. I don't think everybody should go all in on crypto. Said this for years. I think crypto makes up, I think I said 15, 20% of my entire net worth. I think. If you own a house outright, if you own stocks and shares, then of course build a crypto portfolio. It's the right thing to do. But don't go all in. I don't care what these absolute genius crypto people are telling you about going all in on crypto. It's never the right thing to do. I know all of this 100% conviction, max conviction. If you believe in Microsoft, just go 100% in on Microsoft. That's great until the day it's not great. And it's the same with crypto. Have a big bag of Bitcoin, have a big bag of coins, absolutely, but have money outside of crypto. And when you make these gains, take your profits and put them into something else. You don't have to stay all in on crypto for the rest of your life. Yes, it's going to be an expanding market, it's going to go up. But Vanguard, they're right. I had Schroders for 15, 20 years. I was with Schroders. And the only reason I've stopped being with Schroders is because they simply will not touch any of my crypto. So if I sell my crypto at the end of this cycle, I can't put it in Schroders, which means I've fragmented my portfolio, which I don't want to do. So I've closed my Schroders account down. They will change their opinion in the next 3 or 4 years, and they will accept crypto. And that's too late for me. But the point of the matter is, you should have a diversified portfolio outside of crypto. And the best way to do that is make the gains from crypto and then lock them in. And again, you'll hear people tell you, don't pay for your house, don't pay for this, don't pay for that. That's America, or that's wherever it might be. Owning your own house outright, 100%, in the history of mankind, outside of natural disasters or collapse of economies, has never been the wrong move. Property has always appreciated in value. And if you want an example of that, go and have a look at how much a house in your area cost 10, 20 and 50 years ago. And then see what it's worth today and look at the multiples of it. I guarantee you 50 years ago, you could buy a house for $20,000 that is now worth $500,000. Maybe even more, especially if you look around other parts of the world, emerging markets and things like that, it's gone up even more. It's the best hedge fund you will ever have, the best store of value you've got in my opinion. Ethereum supply locked, hits new all-time highs. Smart money bets on long-term growth. I think this is all tied to the fact that ETH staking is coming to ETFs. There really isn't an awful lot of Ethereum when you think about it. The purchasing power of ETFs is huge. Treasuries are now adding hundreds of thousands of Ethereum to their bottom line. Ethereum is the silver child. The golden child is Bitcoin. Ethereum is the silver child. And again, the money is coming to Ethereum. We've been saying it forever. And they are going to see absolutely massive gains. When we get ETH staking on those ETFs, that's going to be a light switch moment. And it's going to turn the light on for Ethereum. And it's going to go up an awful lot. And people are going to look very, very silly for saying that Ethereum is going to $400, $1,000, whatever it was, that people were saying a few months ago. Not saying that it doesn't have its own problems. It's got massive problems. And for me, Vitalik is the number one problem in Ethereum. He is the problem. Many years ago, actually, no, we're not going to tell that story. Ethereum was broken out above the $3,000 level, reaching its highest price since January, signaling strong momentum. Again, now, this is something to bear in mind. There is a very, very important document being released on the 22nd of July, which is what? Is that a week today? A week today, we're going to see a new document. And in that document, we're going to see some new proposals, executive orders, whatever they are, from Trump. And one of them is predicted to be zero capital gains tax on crypto. That's one of them. There are other people saying that the strategic Bitcoin reserve is going to be announced. There's going to be an announcement on stable coins. All of these kind of things are all going to happen on the 22nd. But we don't know exactly what's in it. We just kind of have some guidance on that. So that's a week today. Now, today we obviously have the core CPI data coming out. That's going to be big news. But Crypto Week is big. And again, another reason why I don't think maybe the local top is in is because of what's happening in the next 10 days. 10 days, we're going to see this being released. We're going to get more information about stablecoins. We're going to get the inflation data. Trueflation have said that based on how the government are releasing their CPI data, they're expecting it to come in higher today than last month. So even though Trueflation are predicting a lower inflation rate, as I said to you yesterday, the government data is a month or so out from Trueflation data. So they're expecting it to be higher today than normal. That could put some downward pressure on Bitcoin, or Bitcoin could completely ignore it. So again, the surge in price, getting back to Ethereum, the surge in price and staking activity suggests a shift in sentiment as Ethereum regains its position as a core asset in institutional and retail portfolios. I absolutely agree with this. Totally agree with this. Everybody should have a little bit of Ethereum. One of the big things for me when I set up that $15,000 portfolio was I put a similar allocation in that portfolio in Ethereum than I did in Bitcoin, because I believed Ethereum would run a little bit further and faster and higher than Bitcoin based on returns. Now, of course, we're seeing Bitcoin rip. We didn't see Ethereum rip yet. Now, this has also come from left field. Grayscale are going to file an IPO. Now, this is IPO season. Again, we've said this. Trump's going to come in. Companies have got 4 years to file an IPO. That's what we said all those months ago. We've seen Coinbase. People are calling for Tether. People are calling for Crypto.com. Nobody called for Grayscale. Okay? I think, was it Robinhood are going to IPO as well? Or if they've not already IPO'd, I can't remember. There's too many of them. There's lots of IPOs going on. Gemini, I think, might IPO as well. I don't know. There's a lot of IPOs going around. They are big news. Good morning, Villain Bear. They make cheap houses now that are overvalued. Previously made quality houses and valued them at low valuations. Trump owns a lot of Ethereum. Exactly. Trump does own a lot of Ethereum. The house thing, I'll tell you a little story. Where I live, we bought a house, and the house was built in the 1990s. And I was at the early 1990s. And the walls of our house, no lie, are about 12 inches thick. And it's solid with the cavity things, whatever. Anyway, solid. You can't drill holes in our walls. I can't put pictures up. I can't put paintings up. The walls are reinforced. Everything else that's built here is built of basically polystyrene. Okay? The house creaks in the wind. Now, I don't have a problem with people buying those houses, but my house could be hit by a tsunami tomorrow. It isn't even going to budge. And I totally agree with that sentiment. The houses are getting cheaper to build and smaller than houses. A house of art, the house that I've got, you can now buy today, and it's about 30 to 50% smaller than what we have. So the house shrinkflation is in full effect here, and inflation of prices in full effect. But the point of that is, it doesn't matter about the quality of the house, it's the property itself. And you can own a house made of wood. But if that's in an area where houses are going up 10% a year, your wooden house will go up 10% a year. So the actual building of the house is irrelevant. It's the value of that neighbourhood that is important. And buying a house has never been a bad thing. I bought a storeroom. I can't remember what I paid for the storeroom. £9,000 or £10,000 for this storeroom. Off plan. It's now worth £50,000. Storeroom hasn't changed. Storeroom hasn't physically changed. It's had a leak. But the point of the matter is, the value, or maybe the value of the pound has fallen, whatever, but it's gone up 5x in 4 years. Now, again, property, storerooms, they are a great investment. I stand by that. I've made a lot of money out of property because it goes up faster than inflation in most cases, and certainly faster than wage inflation. So this IPO on Grayscale, this is big news for me. I've always, even before I got into buying alts and things like that, I was buying crypto. Grayscale was one of the first things I wanted to buy. And unfortunately, when I wanted to buy it, which was, 8 years ago, a long time ago, I couldn't buy it. And I had to buy it through a back door in 2020. That's when I first bought Grayscale. I bought the Bitcoin and I bought the Ethereum trusts via the back door. I really like what this company have done since day one. The only mistake I think they made was keeping the fees too high on their Bitcoin and their Ethereum ETFs. And I think they were forced to do that because it made no business sense to do that. I think they were forced indirectly to sell or allowed to be sold the Bitcoin holdings that they've got, because they would have been the biggest player in the market. They'd have had a lead even BlackRock today wouldn't have caught. So I think they were made to allow this to happen and basically bring them back into the pack. So they're going to have an IPO. Again, I don't know what the price is going to be, but the same thing with the Circle IPO. I wanted the Circle IPO. I wanted the shares at $30. It's hundreds of dollars now. Okay, I'm never going to buy them at that price. Nowhere near. Grayscale is going to launch and it's going to 5x. It's going to 10x. And there's good reason why it will do that. It's a really, really good company, and they're really, really good at what they do, and they make decent money. So again, not financial advice. Go and do your own research. If you can get in on the Grayscale IPO, what I would do personally is, if you can get in on the IPO, buy it and then sell day 2. So it launches on Monday, sell it on Wednesday, then wait and then buy back in. It follows the same pattern as a lot of crypto airdrops follow. I really love Grayscale. Now, I don't know the financials. I don't care about the financials. It makes money and I like the company. And that is all I need to know about. But I can't get in. I can't get into a lot of these things because of where I am. It's nearly impossible. I'd have to cheat, and I don't really want to do that. Right, let's move on very quickly. Where are we now? 11:39, and we have 4 things left to cover. I know we said yesterday we're going to go into a correction. And one of the things you need to be wary about is people telling you where we're going to go to next with unrealistic expectations. And we said this yesterday with XRP. People were telling you it's going to $12. And I said, I just can't see that money coming in to do that. But I think XRP and Solana, we are on the brink of the ETF news being released. And I think that is absolutely massive. For Solana, more so than XRP, because Solana has proof of stake and therefore it has staking rewards. I think both XRP and Solana are going to have a really, really rosy 6 months. Maybe $250 to $300 for Solana. XRP is already at $3. I think people know where we are. I'm absolutely 100% in alignment with Standard Chartered. $5 to $7 for XRP. We're at 3. You can 2x your money in the next 6 months. Not financial advice. Do your own research. All of that kind of good stuff. But I think XRP is. We went above $3. We're now sitting directly below $3. Max Kaiser. Matt Kaiser. Max. I was thinking, why is Max Kaiser working at a firm? Sorry, Matt Kraser is an investment analyst at a crypto firm. He told Decrypt he noted that XRP's price movements over the past week were reminiscent of strength seen last year. It's a resurgence of what happened in the fall after the election of Trump, he said, noting the buoyancy in markets after the crypto-supportive president won a second term. Now, again, I think, hand on heart, $5.50, end of this year, absolutely agree. Compared to yesterday's target, which was $12 to $13, $5.50 is pretty much a doubling of the value of the XRP coin. That is easily achievable with the ETF. As I said in my tweet at the start, I think, and I mentioned this 6 weeks ago, for the first time on a stream, and it's one of the thoughts that's been forming in my head. And because obviously I sit here and I talk to you guys and I tell you what I think, and sometimes I'll come up with something on the stream that maybe hadn't crossed my mind before, or maybe it dawned on me. And the ETF portfolio that I suggested all those weeks ago, I absolutely think that is one of the best portfolios you could put together. And the more that time goes by, the more I think that's more accurate. And what I think you could potentially look at in the next 6 months is create 2 portfolios. An ETF portfolio. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano, Hedera, Chainlink, whatever else has been mentioned, Crow, whatever else has been mentioned as an ETF. That is portfolio 1. Passive buying of those tokens will occur when they're all live. What do I mean by that? I mean, if somebody puts $100,000 into the Trump blue chip ETF, $5,000 worth of Crow is added to that ETF. Now, there is a problem with rebalancing. I'm not a fan of rebalancing. And what that does is you basically sell your overperforming assets to buy your underperforming assets. And that's why I'm really not a fan of it. So if you own Shell and BP and a fund, and Shell has found new oil and it's doing whatever and its share price goes up by 50%, they have to rebalance that fund to then buy more BP and sell Shell. And I totally disagree with that. So rebalancing portfolios for me isn't great. But the point of the matter is, I think ETF tokens will outperform absolutely everything else. Now, the second bag should be for tokens with massive, massive upside potential. Gotta sound like that guy from Wolf of Wall Street, don't I? What I mean is, take Compute 3 AI. That token is about $4 million, $3 million. The market it's in, the tokens sit at between $30 or $40 million and $2 billion. So it's undervalued by an 8x or a 9x. That would go into portfolio 2. Then take Dupe. That would go into portfolio 2. Then take any other coin that isn't going to be an ETF that has money generating opportunities. Maybe Aero, maybe some of the other DEXs, maybe some of the other oracles, maybe some of the other AI tokens or real world asset tokens like Maple Finance, like Ondo, and then you put them in bag 2, and that's your growth potential portfolio. So you've got your ETF portfolio and your growth potential portfolio. That, I think, in my head at this moment in time, is the better play, because no matter what we say about Litecoin, no matter how much I bash Litecoin for Tariq, it's going to be an ETF. It's going to be bundled in. It's going to be bundled in with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the thing that a lot of people forget is, when you look at stocks, you see revenue, you see profit, you see growth potential. When you look at crypto and somebody says to you, what do you think of Litecoin? I don't see any revenue predictions. I don't see any profit predictions. I don't know who works there. I don't know anybody associated with them. I don't know anything about Litecoin. Charlie Lee sold up and left and then came back with his bags of cash. So what is there about Litecoin? But Litecoin's going to be an ETF with what potential? So at some point in the future, we're gonna be exposed to the fact that a lot of these tokens are just emperor's new clothes. They're built because they got VC money, and they're built to look incredibly good, and then they're going to fail. And you'll say, well, that's not going to happen with this. Well, it's EOS. What's EOS done in the last 8 years? That raised billions. Lots of coins come and go. But I think the ETF thing is here to stay, and I would look certainly at ETFs. So I'm very, very bullish on XRP. I do think that $5.50 is a really good price target for that. It's not overly optimistic. It's not overly pessimistic. It's almost in the middle of my price prediction, so it's like a Goldilocks prediction, if you will. Now, Ondo have been super, super quiet for months. I love Ondo, okay? Now, I don't love them for what they are. I love them for what they're going to become. Potential. You could call it speculation, but I wouldn't call it speculation because we know what they are going to be capable of. They have just bought a blockchain developer company called Strangelove. Should have had a better title than what was the title for this one? Ondo Buy. I mean, what a crap title for this. I should have got Strangelove in there, shouldn't I? Anyway, Ondo has bought Strangelove. They've got to change that logo. I mean, that logo isn't corporate, is it? That's terrible. It's not even red. Right then, Ondo Finance acquired Strangelove, a company specialized in modular and open source blockchain infrastructure to strengthen its technical capabilities. The acquisition aims to accelerate the tokenization of real-world assets such as stocks, private bonds, and real estate. Jack Zampolin, what a name. The CEO joins Ondo as VP of Product to lead the development of interoperable solutions and the launch of a proprietary network. A proprietary network. So, again, something else I've been calling for quite a few weeks, if not months, is that lots of projects will build their own layer 2s using the OP stack, so it sits on top of Ethereum. Why? Because Ethereum doesn't go down. It's perfectly fine. But you need your own network because you need to do your own roll-ups. You need to make sure your transactions can go through, and you can't really do that directly on Ethereum. So that makes perfect sense. Mantra also has its own chain. It's a really good idea if you have a product that will work and has uses and has people using it. So I think this is a very good move by Ondo. The way I would see layer 2s, if we think about it, layer 2s started off trying to help Ethereum process transactions, and then they developed, and then they went in their own different little directions, and then we started to see other layer 2s pop up that were specialized, and a lot of them failed because they were a product without an audience. And what Ondo are doing is they have the audience, so they're building the platform. Mantra came out, was already building its platform. It's important to have your own platform if you do something specific. Mantra has built its own blockchain, or its own layer 2, because it has very specific requirements regarding KYC and AML and all this kind of thing, which are difficult to do on a generic blockchain. But if they build their own blockchain with everything built in and all the dApps built in and everything else, it just becomes a breeze, and you can update that layer 2 without having to, go cap in hand to somebody else. So this is probably the future of a lot of layer 2s, is you're going to see a lot of the bigger products. BlackRock, for example. Let's say that BlackRock wanted to have its own stock exchange. It would probably have its own layer 2 called Black, or Rock, or B-Rock, Brock. Call it Brock. That's probably the future for that as well. So I think this is the direction a lot of them are going to go in. I really do love Ondo, and the reason I like it is very simply put. They've gone live with 2 products, and that is absolutely the right thing to do. If Ondo had gone live with 25 or 35 different products on Ethereum without testing, without ironing out the onboarding problems, without seeing how it went for demand, it would have been a disaster. Instead, they went live with 2 products. They connected it up to Solana, so that some of those products are now on Solana. That all works. They now getting to the point where they need to be a little bit more specific with what they offer, and now they're going in with their layer 2. The people behind Ondo, they are not messing around. They know exactly what they're doing, and whether it's BlackRock and Ondo building this, or whether it's Ondo building this under the supervision of having BlackRock advisors, who cares? It's the right thing, in my opinion, to do. Then that layer 2 has to connect up to everything else. Okay. Also, the layer 2 gets the fees. Dogecoin versus Pepe in 2025. Which meme coin will 10x first? Again, if I was to pick one, Dogecoin 10xing would put it at $2. I don't think it's going to go higher than $1. So I would say Pepe. But I don't know what this article has to say. This is by Sham. Hi, Sham. Doge offers legacy strength, deep liquidity, and real-world utility potential. So what you need to take out of that is legacy and potential. Legacy and potential. It's an old coin that hasn't fulfilled its potential. Right? This, I said this was going to happen last year, maybe even the year before. I was on a stream, I had to pick a coin that was going to absolutely rock it. I picked Dogecoin. The reason I picked Dogecoin is everything pointed to Doge being the token on X. It hasn't happened. We're 18 months down the line. Still not happened, right? So I've lost patience with it. This is like Bijou establishment. It's tiny. Or somebody walking you into a new house and asking you to look out of the window. Same thing. So it's an old coin that hasn't done anything. That's how you read the article. Pepe brings raw virality, so you can already see the direction this article is trying to take. Massive upside potential, Wolf of Wall Street man here, and thrives during degen market conditions. Pepe has more about it than Dogecoin. I know Doge has got validators, it's proof of work and all of these things, but it's being mined into infinity. They need to cap it. It's Bitcoin without a cap that you can produce hundreds of thousands a day, if not millions a day of it. So for me, Pepe would be the number one that I would look at. I think I've just clicked something, which we don't need to do. I think I'm going to go with Pepe. That's my pick from those. Now then, I think we are almost out of articles, and hopefully I've done it. There we go. I've done it with 5 minutes to spare. Right. This is the last thing about El Salvador. Dollar cost averaging in to Bitcoin for strategy has worked absolutely incredibly well. I don't know how many billions in profit they are, but El Salvador, their portfolio is almost at $1 billion. Now, I don't think that many people live in El Salvador. I've read some reports by people who they've been there. They've tried the El Salvadorian dream. They've not liked it because they've built special places for these digital nomads. They charge people three to four times what the locals pay. The Bitcoin dream isn't quite right. It's baking hot. All these kind of things. But I don't care about that. What I care about is whether this strategy is going to work for the people that live in El Salvador. That's all that matters to me. Is it going to work for them? Now, Bukele has DCA'd in. I think he buys one Bitcoin. Is it one Bitcoin a week? They are $242 million in profit. There he is. And there's his little chart. I'm not sure that's real, but we'll use it for the example. So they're buying Bitcoin, and they buy it, I think, either every day or every week. They buy one Bitcoin. And they have been accumulating Bitcoin now for almost 2 years. He had everything thrown at him. The IMF were going to kick him out on all kinds of things. The IMF told him that they could give him money, but he wasn't allowed to buy Bitcoin with it. He agreed to that. He took the money, and then the first thing he started to do was buy more Bitcoin. That is a proper move. That is the mic drop move right there. And I'm a massive fan of that. So they are up $242 million. If you bought Bitcoin every day like El Salvador, you'd have made 113% return. Since the 18th of November 2022, El Salvador has been buying one Bitcoin per day, buying 969. The value, or the cost, is 545 million, now worth 54 million, now worth 115 million. Average price of 55,000. Now, again, I'm a big fan of dollar cost averaging in. That's the best one that you can probably copy. Instead of buying one Bitcoin a day, why don't you buy... I've got a really ticklish nose. Why don't you buy whatever you can afford? 10 Satoshi, 100 Satoshi a day. Do that. Do that for the next 2 or 3 years. You will be a lot happier than that. Simon, a 30 to 40% correction takes us to the 90s. And every time I say this, you look at the chart. We went from 109,000 to 76,000. That was a 33%. That was a $33,000 drop. But if you work out what roughly 30% of 109,000 is, that was whatever it was. Takes us down to 70,000. So when I say those things, I'm not just picking a number out of the air. I think it takes us to about 90 and a bit thousand. But remember what I keep saying. I make OG videos. One of the things I keep saying is this. At some point, that 30% dip is going to shallow out. Those 8, 10x's that you see in Bitcoin are going to shallow out. And it's going to basically slow down. Now, as Bitcoin goes up to 130, 150, 200,000, I don't think we're going to see 30% corrections anymore. We might see 20 to 30% corrections. Now, if we do a 20% correction from 124,000, that brings us down to roughly 100,000. That would be fantastic. So, although it's great that we're at this price, we've got to look at where we're going to come to then see where we're going to go to. So, we've gone from 78,000, or is it 76,000, to 124,000. That is a $48,000 move. If we come down to 103,000, which is my magic number, and we do a $48,000 move, that takes us to 151,000. How many people out there would be happy with 151,000 Bitcoin at the end of this bull run? I would be delighted, and it would also be almost a 10x from the bottom. So that's how I base it on. I base it on a rough 20 to 30, aiming at 30% correction. But I don't think that 30% correction would have been as deep as it would have been, other than the fact that Trump absolutely shocked the entire financial market with that tariff move. And that was a black swan. And we went to 78,000, 76,000, whatever it was. I don't think we're going to get one of them again. And if we do, 98 or 100,000 or 96,000 is my bottom. That's where I think. But again, the videos that I've been making, all-time high, end of June. I was wrong by 2 weeks. I don't care. Summer lull, August, maybe September, summer lull. Low trading volumes. Then October, as we've done in nearly every year for the last 4 or 5 years, we've gone up in October massively. That's what I'm sticking to. Now, I could very well be absolutely wrong about the end of this cycle. We might not end in November. We might go into March. If there's no recession next year, because the recession's been taken off the table, we run into next year. Maybe the ETF volumes just simply continue. That's the hard part. I can only say what I think is going to happen based on prior cycles and the way that you have like a couple of things that overlay. You have the yearly, the annual cycle. The annual cycle is summer lull, autumn pump. That kind of happens. Then you kind of have a mid-spring, I'm depressed after Christmas dump. And then you have the Santa rally. And the Santa rally is based on a couple of fundamental things to do with insurance companies and also the fact that people are more bullish in December than they are at any other point. So you've got that as a 1 year event. And then you've got the 4 year cycle, which is clearly 18 months after Bitcoin halves, it hits all-time high. That's November, December this year. So you got to overlay them and like put your finger in the air and like wave it around and see which direction the breeze is going. But that's all I can say. I think that's going to be right. We could. But the question is, what brings us down? Bitcoin doesn't need a reason to go up. It needs a reason to go down. What's going to be the reason? Now, there are black swans. Absolutely, there's black swans on the horizon. Surging inflation, another conflict, maybe Taiwan, maybe escalation in the Middle East, maybe escalation in Europe. There are plenty of black swans swimming around in our sea of tranquility, just waiting to flap their wings and mess up our still waters. There's plenty of them knocking around. We're probably going to get one of them in the next 12 months because they average one every 9 or 12 months anyway. So I think if we don't, we could even have a good summer, but it's hard to say. Anyway, it's 12:02. Thanks for the people who showed up today. Greatly appreciated it. Retail has gone. It's us. We're on our own. We're on our own in our crypto echo chamber. So thank you everybody for coming. Now, tomorrow morning, I am not streaming because tomorrow night we have this Maple Finance year-to-date review, 6-month review, Maple Finance. Half of it is going to be a review of Maple Finance. Half of it is going to be a quiz. So there's a quiz tomorrow night. We're going to give away money. Now, this is we haven't been paid, not by Maple, but by a few of our other things that we've done. We haven't been paid. So we don't have the giveaway for Maple yet. Hopefully we'll have it for tomorrow. If not, you might have to wait a few more days after you win the prize to get paid. Yeah, exactly. That word I can't say on the stream is likely to happen. I'm absolutely convinced that Taiwan will not be Taiwan in a few years' time. It will no longer be Taiwan. It'll be the People's Republic of China, Taiwan. That's what I think. But anyway, thank you, Simon. Thank you, KB. Thank you for Scroll Up. Villain for turning up. Thank you, Manjeet, Danny, and everybody else. I've sent you a voicemail, Danny. I hope you pick it up. Anyway, see you all tomorrow evening. Take care.